Good morning, my dear students. I really miss you so much. Hope you're fine and enjoying your vacation. Let's revise what we have covered the previous couple of weeks. First thing, we covered factoring, how to factor the trinomial or the polynomial by GCF, the greatest common factor. Do you remember this? When I have any polynomial and just the question says factor the following polynomial, like here, but it's not gonna mention factor out the GCF. The question is going to be just factor the following polynomial. So here, as we see that I have here 6, 9 and 12, they are all in times table 3, and x power 3, x power 2, x and 1x. Here I have 3 x's, 2 x's and 1x, and I can take 1x as a common factor as we studied before. I can take the 3 as a common factor and the 1x as a common factor. Then I open a bracket, then I write what's left or what's remaining from the 6 after taking away 3 as a common factor. The remaining will be 2. After I take 1x from the 3 x's, the remainder will be x power 2 minus 3x plus 4. You remember this? We know previously how to factor a polynomial by GCF. This was our first method in factorizing. The second method was how to factor differences of two squares. If I have a binomial, and I told you before, I mentioned that I have to have 3 conditions. The two terms should have should be perfect square. The operation sign should be minus, and the expression should be a binomial. As long as I have the 3 conditions, so I will go through differences of two squares. So I will open 2 brackets, x squared minus 9. Each one of them has a square root. The square root of x squared is x, so I will just put in both brackets. The first term in each bracket is x. Then any of the brackets I will put a negative sign and a positive sign. Then what is the square root of 9 is 3, so I will put in the first bracket 3 and 3. This is the differences of two squares. We also covered differences or sum of two cubes last week. Today we're gonna take the 4th method. So now we've covered 3 methods of factorizing. Now we're gonna cover the 4th method, which is factoring the trinomial x squared plus bx plus c. So what the question will be like this: factor the following polynomial: x squared plus 8x plus 12. This is a trinomial. This is 3 terms, an expression of 3 terms. So the question is not going to come as a binomial like differences of two squares or sum or differences of two cubes. It's a trinomial because the expression consists of 3 terms. Here, how can I factor such a polynomial? Here, x squared plus 8x plus 12. First thing I ask myself, do I have here a common factor? No, I don't have a common factor. It's not a binomial. So the 4th method is going to be applicable in such questions. Okay, so how can I solve such a problem? This is factorizing a trinomial. It's known as how to factor a trinomial. First thing, I will open 2 brackets. The first term in each bracket will consist of or will include x and x. Until now it's very easy. So I will just open 2 brackets as we mentioned in differences of two squares, or as we said before. So just 2 brackets. I will put the first term in each bracket, the x. Okay, the x. Then let's skip the middle term or the second term and go for the last term or the 3rd term. I will I will look at its sign. It's a positive sign. So as long as the operation sign of the third term is positive, so I will go on my rough side and put like a table. Then I write down the factors, or what are the factors which gives me 12. What are the factors? If I multiply two numbers, the answer will be 12. Yes, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Do I have anything else? If I multiply them together, they will give me the 12? I believe no. So I will write product 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Then I will write the sum of what I write as a product. Yani, in other words, I will add 1 plus 12 equals 13, 2 plus 6 equals 8, 3 plus 4 equals 7. So I will look now, I will look to the middle term or the second term. I will see now which of these two numbers, the sum of these two numbers will give me number 8. So now, again, I will, as long as it is a trinomial, I will open two brackets. First thing, the easiest part of this problem, I will write x here and x here. X in the first term of each bracket. The first term I will write. What about the second term in each bracket? Okay. Now let's skip the second term of the trinomial and go for the third term. I ask myself, what is the operation sign? It's positive. So as long as it's positive, I will go on my rough paper. I will write down the products. What are the numbers which I multiply them together? They will give me 12. So I write down the factors of 12, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. And what are the sum? What is the sum of these numbers? If I add them together, 1 plus 12 it will give me 13, 2 plus 6 will give me 8, 3 plus 4 will give me 7. So then I will look, what are the two numbers which their sum is 8? Because here the middle number is 8. So I will look, what are the numbers their sum is 8? I find out that it's 2 and 6. So I will just write here 2 and 6. It's very easy as this. Let's take another example. Here, factor the following polynomial: x squared plus 5x plus 6. First thing I ask myself, is it going to be factored as a common factor? Do they have a common factor? No, I believe not. Okay, they are not binomial, so I will go for my new method. I will just open two brackets. I will write in the first term in each bracket x and x, and this is the easiest part. Then let's skip the second term and go for the third term. Go for the third term. What is the operation sign of the third term? It's positive sign. So I will go in my rough paper and write the products. What does it mean, the product? What are the factors of 6? What are the numbers which I multiplied them together? The answer will be 6. The answer will be 6. And if I add them together, the answer will be 5. So what are the factors, or what are the numbers? If I multiply them together, the answer will be 6. And when I add them together, they will give me 5. So I will go in my rough paper. What are the factors of 6? 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. Do I have any other factors? If I multiply them together, they will give me 6? I believe not. Then I add them together. 1 plus 6 equals 7. I add these two factors together because I want to know what are the numbers. If I add them together, the answer will be the middle number, the second term, 5. So when I add 2 and 3, yes, the answer is 5. So here the answer is going to be 2 and 3. I will write down 2 and 3. Let's stop until here, and we will explain again tomorrow, inshallah. Let's finish our session for today till this point, and we're going to continue our session tomorrow, inshallah. See you tomorrow, and have a good day.